Can I survive? Just received my $9 poncho and I'm running out into the woods. I'll be trudging through the swamp. There's rain, sometimes torrential rain, but I don't care. Got my generic poncho I ordered from the King Hui official store. See how it goes. So can I survive with my $9 poncho from AliExpress? After testing it out in the woods, in the swamp, in the rain, camping out, what's my analysis? Well, overall I'd say it's a nice poncho, only 6 ounces, which is around half of the Arcturus poncho that I'm used to. I'll put the link in the description for Arcturus. It's like 20 bucks or so. I mean, prices everywhere are going up, but last I checked, I think it was around 20 bucks. And the Arcturus, you can see one that's olive drab and one that's like a woodland camo in several of my videos. So I can recommend the Arcturus. As far as this generic one, I do like that it's even lighter weight than the Arcturus, which is 11 ounces. This one is 6 ounces. Lighter is better. Less ounces on the trail. One thing I did notice is that on this one, the generic, is that the stitching around the hood is bad. Not that the hood's going to fall off, but when I'm hanging it up, I can see daylight. So there's holes. Of course, there has to be holes around the stitching where the needle and thread's going through, and apparently that's not taped or sealed in any way. So when I was wearing it in heavy rain, I thought I could feel water coming in, and that was at least one of the places where water was being introduced. I could DIY, put some sort of tape or some sort of sealer on that. I'd probably just put like a dab of like cloth, epoxy meant for cloth or sewing, fabric glue. DIY. But that's a strike against it if you need to DIY after buying it. But for me, not a deal breaker. I mean, total price including shipping from China, $9. Not going to complain too loudly, but I will mention it. Has some nice grommets in my opinion. They seem to be strong. The corner grommets, I think, might even be stronger than the Arcturus, so that's a plus. Okay, so we had a -1 for the faulty stitching in my analysis around the hood, but a +1 for very strong grommets. They have a reinforcement at each corner, so that's 4 grommets, and then along the long edge, each long edge, you got another grommet for a total of 6. And that's good. Okay, so I have it set up as a shelter. I'd say that the Poncho is big enough for a one-man shelter, 2 or 3 people if you're sitting down, hunkering down under it. But as far as laying down camping, like a one-man shelter, I would say. It's shorter than the Arcturus. The Arcturus, for me, particularly in hilly terrain and rough terrain, I would say is too long, because I'm not 7 foot tall and bulletproof, unlike what a lot of the viewers apparently think of me. Just little guy, 5.5 feet tall. So with the length of the Arcturus poncho, when I'm going up steep grades or climbing almost like a cliff, I find like I'm stepping on it. If I'm just standing there in the Arcturus on flat ground, it's perfect. Hilly terrain, I think, is a little bit long. This one, the generic one, for a small person, I would say it's ideal as far as wearing it and hiking in rough terrain. And really, the Arcturus is so long, unless if you're over 6 foot, maybe that's what you'd want. You'd have to test both of them out. Maybe if you're exceptionally tall, you think this one is too short. Perfect for me, I would say. And the biggest drawback that I would say, in my opinion, is that this poncho seems to be water resistant and not absolutely waterproof. In other words, it's not impermeable. And I haven't done any scientific testing with like water pressure. I've just worn it out in the woods. I just take it out and use it like it's intended to be used. And it seems to be more like a Gore-Tex type material. You know, it's kind of a mystery fabric. I don't speak any form of Chinese or read their characters. It seems, wow. So it's a lot different in English with Chinese written in their traditional characters. Okay, so I'm trying to give them a break because, on AliExpress and other sites, they speak English a lot better than my Chinese. Okay, that being said, but still, it's kind of like a mystery fabric. A lot of them aren't speaking English fluently. I'm trying to have a hard time understanding what they're saying. This colored fabric, whether it's like a blue, orange, or green, or like a camo on one side, but the other side seems to be the silvery. And what is that? And my guess is the silver is for if you're hanging it up in a hot environment or a sunny environment, that silvery is reflecting the sun. I think that's the thought there. And it's like cool weather here and woodlands with a lot of shade. I'm not in the desert in the summer, so I can't really test that part out. The silvery does detract from the camo, or like this isn't a camo pattern, but it's like kind of like I call it a pine green, like some of the U.S. military, not the olive drab. I don't know the official name, but some of the clothing I used to call like a pine green. So it has that on one side. The other side is silvery, which is, standing out. It attracts the eye. But the biggest drawback, in my mind, is that it's water resistant rather than waterproof. So when I was wearing it, walking through the woods in driving rain, started to get damp on the inside. Not really bad, but just a little bit. And people have different preferences. Wearing an impermeable poncho could seem a bit stuffy, but what I do is I know how to wear it loosely over my body it's open on the sides, and I just know how to drape it loosely and drape it over my pack, and then I get a breeze coming in, and I'd rather have impermeable. But it's got enough water resistance that it does work. It's not ideal according to my preferences. Maybe other people like it better. So boil it all down. Can I survive with this poncho for $9? I'm giving it the 1 thumbs up. And even though there was a couple negative factors that I brought up, I'm actually, here it comes. It's coming 2 thumbs up. Yeah, I think it really earns it, because in my mind, I have to balance in the price, the availability. You know, the Doug Shoe Bushcraft channel has a lot of viewers from Asia. You know, there's people from Indonesia. There's people from India. There's people from Australia that I'm thinking is physically closer to China. So then, rather than, I recommend the Arcturus poncho, and that's readily available in the U.S. If you're in Australia and buy it, I don't even know what the shipping costs, or if it's even available, if they'll ship it to you. But AliExpress, I'm thinking maybe that's even more convenient for a lot of my viewers on that side of the world. And you know, America had a lot of prosperity. We still do. You know, this isn't a political channel. I'm not going to go real deep into it or look for people to blame on one particular political party. I mean, I'm not about that. I'm just saying there's a lot of inflation. There were hard financial times in my grandparents' day, and they were in poverty, and they worked their way out of that. But maybe America's going back. I don't know. I'm not sure. But there are tough times in a lot of places in the world, and I've never been there. I have a lot of friends, and have had a lot of friends over the years from Indonesia. A lot of really good people, and that greater part of the world. And I've heard about a lot of poverty and people really working hard, trying to support their family, and people trying to survive. I'm teaching here, like, what if you need to survive? Well, there's people in other parts of the world. Right now, they are trying to survive. They don't have a lot of money. You really have to pick and choose what you buy, and the cost is a big consideration. Well, maybe this poncho, or one like it, would work for you. So I thank you for joining me, guys. I'm going to head out. For everyone who has been born of God overcomes the world. And this is the victory that has overcome the world, our faith. 1 John 5:4.